Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Heather. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're having a wonderful summer, and to my Southern Hemisphere viewers and friends, a lovely cozy winter. I thought I would hop on here and do my very first book haul. It's early in the morning and I'm once again filming bleary-eyed, living off my coffee. But yeah, so I'm gonna take a sip of coffee, get myself, fully awake, and then I will get started. Ooh. Before I get into the book, speaking of one of my Southern Hemisphere friends, one of my followers on Instagram who I follow as well, she was so sweet. She sent me a package one day, and in it were some of her beautiful quilted pouch creations, and I just adore them. This is the first one, and it's just so pretty. It has her name on the back, and on the inside, she has the most loveliest patterns. I was just blown away because she sent me 3. And there's the other one with the inside. I love bees. They're my favorites. And so, of course, this is going to be my favorite because of the bees. And I was just blown away by how generous that was, and I love them. I will treasure them forever. So I just had to show you guys that. Anyway, I will leave a link to her Instagram account if you want to check out some more of her creations. The book that I want to show you first is a book that I bought in Spain. We were traveling in Spain in April. I purchased this book for my brother's girlfriend who is from Venezuela, and I thought she would really like it. In its copy of Mujercitas, Little Women, and it was so beautiful. So I'm going to send this to her for her birthday this year, which is coming up soon. Here's a really pretty illustration for you. So I thought she would really like this, and I just adored it. I thought it was gorgeous. The next one I was so happy to get. I was doing some research on Amazon one day, and Tasha Tudor's The Secret Garden was, I don't know, $7. So I of course got it. I have been wanting to get the Tasha Tudor version of The Secret Garden forever. Tasha Tudor is a very well-known American illustrator who lives in New England. She lives in Vermont, or she lived in Vermont. She passed away in 2008. And she's just this marvelous soul who really lived in tune with nature and found ways to be happy. And I just adore her work. I actually have her version of Little Women here that I picked it up used when I was doing an Illustrator Explore of Little Women, which you can check out on my website. I'll leave a link below. Here's one of her interiors. She also has a version of The Little Princess that I'm keen to get a hold of. The next book I grabbed recently because an online book club that I take part in was reading it for May, and it is The Blue Castle by Ellen Montgomery, and not illustrated, but the jacket illustration was done by Jackie Oakley. And she also, by the way, did some Jane Austen novels. The books themselves are kind of pricey now, but I do have the Kindle version. Let me see if you can make it out to make sure my ring light doesn't get in it. Here's another one. Incidentally, these are both from Emma. If you want to see the other illustrations, I'll leave a link to her website. She has quite a few displayed there. But I just really loved this cover design, and she does several of Ellen Montgomery's works, the Anne books, the Emily books, as well as some of the other books that Ellen Montgomery authored, such as A Tangled Web and Pat of Silverbush, and I haven't read any of those yet, but I really want to because I'm such a fan of Anne of Green Gables, and I never thought to read her other books, but this one was really good. Another book that has such beautiful descriptions of nature and scenery and the seasons. It has one of the most beautiful descriptions of winter. It's about Valency Sterling, who believes herself to be dying, and so Valency, who has been bossed around by her family and told what to do all her life, decides that she's not having it anymore. and she decides to take charge of her life and become the person that she's always wanted to be. And it's just such a wonderful read. I really enjoyed it. I actually took this book with me to Spain, which if you read it, you'll find out why it turned out to be such a good choice. But anyway, so I highly recommend this one. Penguin Publishers have been publishing these books with these beautiful covers that reflect the classic penguin look, but have really beautiful embossed illustrations. They've done 12 of them. They're 12 American classics. And I saw this one the other day when I was down at Barnes & Noble's. Incidentally, I live in a place where we don't have a Barnes & Noble's, so if I want to go to a Barnes & Noble's, I have to drive an hour to get to one. So I usually only go to Barnes & Noble's when I'm on my way to Boston. But yeah, so anyway, I was at the Barnes & Noble's and saw this, The Broom of the System by David Foster Wallace. I really don't know anything much about it. I just really want to collect these classics. And now having finished The Haunting of Hill House, I really want to get We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which they also have in this edition. But they're just really beautiful, and I'm anxious to collect all 12 over time. So yeah, I just thought I would show you guys that. I love the they include little parts of the story inside on the cover, and it's just really pretty. Now, the next book I want to show you, I really had to think about whether I wanted to buy it or not, because the illustrations for the original are just so iconic and so part of the story, so I just wasn't sure. But it was so beautiful, I just couldn't resist, and I had to get it. And it's The Little Prince, illustrated by Claudia Bourdin. I was very happy to find that the original illustration in the beginning of the book that has he's actually drawing a boa constrictor that has swallowed an elephant, and all the adults can't see that. They think it's a hat. And so it's kind of funny to see the reactions and the hat. But anyway, the original illustrations look very, very similar to this. So I was so happy to find that they resembled him so much. So the next book is one that I bought and read and just adore, and it is The Gardens of Dor. If you are a fan of the movie The Labyrinth, there are so many similarities that I can't help but wonder if the creators of The Labyrinth actually took some inspiration from it. The Gardens of Dor is by Paul Beagle and illustrated by Eva Johanna Rubin. We have one of the main characters' name is Jarek. We have the blind magician, the junk lady. This reminds me of those, I don't even know what you call them, those pink guys who dance around like crazy and take their heads off and want to take her head off. There's Hoggle. Of course, his name is different. It just has so many similarities to it. And I loved this book. I want to reread it, actually. I loved it for the floral descriptions and the seasonal descriptions, as well as the fantasy element of it. So what's happening is this girl's good friend is changed into a flower by a witch who is also a woman that her dad is having an extramarital affair with. So yeah, just a little cautionary note. She's on a mission to try and find the cure so that she can change him back from being a flower into a real boy. She travels around as she meets people. Every person has a story and tells her their story. And eventually the answer comes through the combination of all the stories. And it's really magical. Paul Beagle wrote several children's books, and we actually read another one of his in the autumn last year, and it was The King of the Copper Mountain. And this one actually turned out to be one of my son's favorite reads of 2022. But yeah, there's another one, and I think it's called The Little Captain, which I'll put a picture of it up here that I want to grab as well and read. I love this book so much. So the next book I picked up at my local bookstore, and I fell in love with it immediately. It's so beautiful. And it's The Moth Keeper. If you are familiar with the Tea Dragon Society, Kay O'Neill is the author and illustrator of both. They're graphic novels, just beautiful artwork inside. Kay O'Neill was inspired by Tongariro National Park, and I looked it up, and it's just the neatest national park. It's very stark. It has a very stark beauty. Much like in the US, we have the Joshua trees and the yucca moth that depend on the Joshua trees. So we also have rare moths in Tongariro National Park that depend on the plants. And that inspired Kay O'Neill to create this beautiful graphic novel. And we follow Anya, who has become the new moth keeper, and it's a very important role in the community. And she wholeheartedly dives into it, but eventually kind of suffers a bit from burnout. And something occurs that is a result of this burnout that kind of brings the community together to solve. I think it's so important because the book is about community and about burnout and how to deal with loneliness and isolation. The characters have gender neutral appearances and names, and the environment based on the Tongariro National Park with their rare moths just makes for a beautiful world that is somewhat Earth-like but yet somewhat different, and it was just a neat environment to dive into. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I picked it up. Incidentally, my bookstore was also including this print alongside the book, so I felt lucky. It was the last one that I got. I was so excited. Okay, so that is it for my new fiction. I just want to show you some nonfiction I picked up. We actually read a ton of nonfiction in this house. We read it over breakfast, and my son loves nonfiction, probably more than anything else, so we do pick up a bunch. But this one I actually bought more for myself, and it's the Illustrated Emily Dickinson by Bushel and Peck Publishers. They're great. They're a publishing company where when you purchase a book, they donate a book. So I just love that about them. And this is edited by Ryan Van Cleve, and they use collage for their illustrations or other images that are already out on the internet. And like, for example, look at that one. The next one I'm going to send to one of my nieces, and it is Epic Myths for Fearless Girls by Koa Lee. I bought this for my niece whose birthday is coming up, and I just love Koa Lee. I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, but I love her. She lives in Vietnam, and she's just got the most beautiful illustrations. I'm so often drawn in by her artwork. Look at this one right here. It's just so beautiful. But yeah, so I'm going to send that to my niece. We were at my son's school, and they always have a book drive, and there was a book that I picked up, A Child's Introduction to Orchestra, and it's by Robert Levine, illustrated by Meredith Hamilton. And we've been reading this in the morning at breakfast, and we'll read a little bit about a composer, and then we'll play one of the pieces of music that it suggests that you play. And we've just really been loving it. It's probably one of my favorite recent book purchases. But yeah, so just picked it up, and I was so happy to find something like this out there, and we've been learning so much. The next book I bought back in March, I think, and it's by a twin sister illustration team that I just adore, Anna and Elena Balbuso. I just think that they have the most clever, most beautiful illustrations. This book is about a sister team as well, Marie Curie and her sister Bronię Dluska. It's because of her sister's support that Marie Curie was able to do the work that she did. And it's just a beautiful book. I mean, look at the end papers. If you look closely, all their illustrations have sort of atomic or chemical or mathematical symbols embedded within the illustrations. Very proud to own that book. We actually have the National Parks of the USA book, and we've been reading it for years now. And so they recently came out with the National Monuments of the USA. It's written by Cameron Walker and illustrated by Chris Turnham, and it divides the regions of the USA up. There's Craters of the Moon. Here's the other one we have, National Parks of the USA, incidentally, that I just ran out and grabbed. So yeah, so now we have National Parks of the USA and National Monuments of the USA. Okay, so I'm just going to go through my used copies that I picked up. The first one just looked good to me. It is Henry Reed's Big Show. It's about some kids who are putting on a summer concert and things go wrong, so I thought that might be interesting. This one I've been wanting to find forever. It's The Little Witch, and I have a version of Ottfried Preussler's Little Witch, but this one is by Anna Elizabeth Bennett with pictures by Helen Stone. I've seen this around and I thought, oh, this looks so cute, I have to read it. So I'm glad that I found this one. We read Eva Ibbetson's Journey to the River Sea recently, and my son loved it. Another one of his favorite books of 2022, by the way. But anyway, so I'm now curious to read more of her work, especially The Secret of Platform 13, which J.K. Rowling used as some inspiration for the Harry Potter books. But anyway, I was so lucky I found all of these in a book box one day. So there's The Secret of Platform 13, Witch, The Great Ghost Rescue, and Island of the Ants. Sarah Plain and Tall. I actually was waiting for somebody in a library once, and I picked this up and started reading it and kind of made it almost halfway through because it was just so riveting. I loved it, so I wanted to finish it. Anna Hibiscus. So we read Atinuke's, I think it's called The #1 Car Spotter last year, and it was so funny and I loved it. I actually spent a great deal of my childhood in Africa, and I love everything African. I've been very curious to find out about these books. They look so bright and cheerful. I kind of paged through it, and all I got from it is that Anna Hibiscus is very curious about snow. So that's all I know about it. So I'm going to read that and find out more. Anna and the King is the book that I just kind of want to read. I mean, I love the movie, so I just wanted to see how the book was. The Doll's House by Rumer Godden. And I have just been so curious to read this book. And oh, look at that. It's got some beautiful Tasha Tudor illustrations in it. The next book I actually ordered by mistake. We took out a book called Lad, a Dog from the library. And I liked it so much, both he and I, that I was like, oh, I've got to add this to our home library. So I ordered it online, and when I received it, it actually ended up being a picture book version of Lad, a Dog. But nonetheless, I thought it was just so dear, and I loved the illustrations on the inside. Very sort of old school. Some of them are black and white. But, oh my gosh, did we love this book. Lad, a Dog was just such a wonderful surprise. And then the last book on my list I included in my Illustrator Explore that I did this winter, and it was Beauty and the Beast. I'll leave a link as well to that. But it was the most beautiful version of... Oh, my son's awake. Hang on one second. Okay, so yeah, where was I? While doing this Illustrator Explorer, I came across this beautiful version of Beauty and the Beast, and it's illustrated by Hilary Knight. I don't know if you know the Eloise books, but he is the same illustrator as the Eloise books, and I was quite surprised. I'll put a picture of the Eloise up there for you to look at. This is just the most gorgeous version. Here's the front. I'm trying not to get my ring light in there. And this in the back. And I love this beast. He has the look of the Greek god Pan. The Beauty and the Beast tale originates in the tale of Cupid and Psyche. And in that tale, Pan convinces Psyche to continue to look for her true love, Cupid. And so I thought it was really great that the beast was depicted as Pan in this book. It's just so pretty. I loved it so much. The illustrations are just really gorgeous, and I have a link to this on my website. These books are getting pricier and pricier. They're out of print now, and what makes it especially great is that the famous French film director Jean Cocteau, he has an afterword in the book, and if you have not seen his version of Beauty and the Beast, you're really missing out. You should definitely check it out. It's free on YouTube. I'll leave a link to that as well. But here's the afterword by Jean Cocteau. I'm so proud to own this version, and yeah, I love it so much. That is it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. I love to put book pictures up with beautiful flowers and places that we travel to. Please do subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment. Let me know if there are any of these books that you're especially interested in. I'd love to know that. Have a wonderful season, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.